Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. Two things. First, I always say that, don't I? The first thing, the thing I forgot to mention, sometimes when you talk, ideas come in your head and then you go off into one tangent, you forget to go back. To do with the fake news thing, to do with that advert that I saw on Sky, in between Sky News, where it was saying you wouldn't trust one source. And I was talking about how, people do, people have their own, like they watch BBC News or they watch Sky News or they read the news of the World or the Sun or the Daily Telegraph or the Times, whatever the newspaper is in your relevant country, so-called country. The other thing I forgot to mention is a lot of the news comes from a news agency, so it's not like BBC or Sky. They have journalists around the country. I don't know exactly how this works, but my understanding is that they also have these agencies that give them the news, i.e. Reuters, and I think the other one is Associated Press. They're the two big ones. Reuters is definitely the biggest one. So a lot of what they get from, especially when it's breaking news stories, comes from Reuters. So, when they're talking about one source, most of our news is from Reuters. So, if you're going to start questioning fake news, you better question the mainstream media as well, because they've been relying on one source for decades. But that's okay, because we trust them, isn't it? Anyway, the other thing I was thinking about is I was listening to Beyond the Imaginary Curve. I'm not sure which episode it is. It's a recent one. I think it was the most recent one. It was where Dale was going through comments. I haven't actually seen it. He must have done a Vox Pop, interviewed someone out on the street, and that person's come back and left a comment to him. And he's talking about that. So that hopefully will identify what one I'm talking about. And it just made me think about, when people say about flat Earth, why would people lie, and that we should just believe what we're told and all that kind of stuff. And I know I've harped on about this previously, but this idea of certainty about the things that we know, because if you a lot of people say, oh yeah, well, these days we know everything. We know everything. There's nothing new to be learned and all that kind of stuff. And that's the mindset that we all have. But Flat Earth is just a part of that mindset, or Globe Earth, whichever you want to believe. It's part of the fiction of our lives, which a lot of us don't really understand until we're made to question it. And a lot of us don't like questioning things because that makes us uncertain and takes away that grounding, like I was talking about in the other podcast, the Pete podcast, being outside the car, where it's easier being driven inside a car that's driving you wherever you want to go and has the casing around it to keep you, warm and comfortable. But outside it's more dangerous because you're having to weave in between the cars and make your own journey. That's my metaphor for this, for truthers. Now I've forgotten the strand that I was talking about. Yes, certainty. So, a lot of people will say, yeah, we know everything. Yeah. So like, they see no, it's difficult for me to explain this without using the terms that have been given to them. But if you see like a lion, they say, yeah, that's a lion. We know what that is. That's a lion. But wait a minute. What do you mean it's a lion? You don't know what it's called. You, like all the people before you, found yourself upon this place, and you looked at that and you gave it a name. You don't know what it is. You gave it a name yourself. Does that mean that's what it is, just because you gave it that name? But people don't think about these things, and everything around us we've given names, especially for the things that are indigenous, like animals and plants and that kind of thing, things that we've constructed, like houses and buildings. Yeah, that's fine for us to make names like that because we created that. It was something new that wasn't there before. But us as a species, we given our name, as humans. I'm sure if you look thousands of years ago, we used to be called something else. Even the names of animals have probably changed throughout time. But what I mean is we believe we know everything. We have that certainty because that's how we're taught at school. we're taught, this is a lion, this is a zebra, this is a car, this is a building, you're a human, you're a boy, you're a girl, you say mama, you say papa. Even now I was thinking recently with my twins, when they've been saying, dada, mama and papa, did we, did babies come up with those names? And so that's why we have like mummy and daddy and papa and mama, because those are the natural, intrinsic first murmurings of all babies. So that's why, so is it because we're saying to them mummy, daddy, and then they're picking it up? Or is it that this is, if you didn't say anything to them, these would be the first words they would say, and then we've now attributed, because those words are the first words they say, and we all want to be addressed first by babies, so that's why we came up with the name Mama and Papa. Is that the origin of where those names come from babies' murmurings? Anyway, it's making me think, I know it's a bit of a tangent, but it's another one of those things where, what I'm trying to say in this is that we all have a level of certainty that we know everything, and in our lives, we know how things work, and when everyone challenges, but why can't we just print money, or why do people have to sleep on the streets, or why can't everyone have a house and everyone have medicine for free and everyone live nicely? And they say, well, that's the way of the world, that's the way things are. It's another one of those certainties that the fictions that we buy into, the fictions of ourselves, the fictions of the things around us, the fictions of the way we live. I just wish everyone could just challenge that idea, or just acknowledge it, or think about it, so that we can realise that we are living in a fiction. Truly, people can argue about flat Earth and globe Earth because it's difficult to prove, because I can't go up high enough to prove it, and if I take a photo, well, that's not evidence anyway. But the actual life we live, yeah, we can see that's a fiction. When you say that's a tree, prove it. Prove it's a tree. How do you know it's a tree? Because the person before you told you it was a tree. But did they know? Did they find a tag on it? Did they speak to the person who invented it? I.e. God or nature or whichever it was. But that's our problem, you see, because we're indoctrinated, as it were, when we're babies, to all these things, these certainties that we believe in, we don't even question. So, in a way, we're living a bit of a lie, aren't we? Just out of ease, because, well, I suppose the counter-argument would be, well, we don't know what it's called, so it's okay for us to give it a name. What does it matter? What it matters is that we believe that we know all these things, and then that forms the part of our lives that we carry on doing that kind of mistake of thinking everything is the way it is, whereas everything doesn't have to be the way it is. Everything is the way we choose it. That's how we've always done it. We've chosen it's a lion, and we've chosen to live like this. But if people are suffering all around the world all the time, well, what a bloody stupid choice that is, isn't it? Seems so obvious, doesn't it? But why is it the people who have the power, the people with the money, the people with the control, don't see that? Or is it so difficult to change now because we're speeding down this highway and it's difficult to stop and tell everyone else, no, go back? Maybe that's the truth of it. Maybe we wrongly blame these people in power and money, but because it's too late now, we're already charging down, and to stop it would just be catastrophic. That's a very depressing thought to end on. Take care, take it easy, God bless and peace.